the process is exciting to me. It's a challenge every time I approach an empty canvas or an empty piece of paper. Just deciding where to put the first mark can be a big thrill. And then, of course, that mark will tell you where to put the next marks, and so on. So it becomes an interesting conversation with the medium, with the materials, with the idea that I'm trying to transfer from my mind to this piece of paper or canvas. The biggest change is that I am now aware of it. When I was young, I was intuitive about everything, not just painting, but about everything. So of course a lot of wrong decisions were made. Intuition only goes so far. When one gets to the point of understanding why I'm doing something, why I'm using this particular color or that particular shape, I feel more involved with the process. I have a friend who's a sculptor, Reuben Peacock, and at one time he was going to teach me the process of making bronze sculpture. You start out with wax, and a lot of fire is involved, and a lot of sweat and work and process. It's a lot of process. Painting is instant gratification. Paint's on the brush, paint's on the canvas. It's instant gratification. That's what painting's all about. There's a distinct difference in technique. However, there's not a big difference in style. And style comes from the use of line. And I've been using the same linear gestures and forms since I was 17 and first started being serious about being a painter. However, the process of laying color down onto a canvas has changed. I used to think of every brushstroke as a form, but now I have a much more controlled approach, and I see the forms as a form and the brushstrokes as movement within that form. So my work now is not as abstract as it used to be and much more controlled, but I'm actually thinking about revisiting some of those uncontrollable urges. Oh, definitely. We are translating ideas, mental ideas, distilling them, if you will, through processes and emerging with a new element. So that's definitely what I think all of us who are in the creative industry do, that we take ideas, emotions, sensation, a quick little glimpse, a memory, and we distill that into a visual form or an auditory form or even a movement, dance for instance. So yeah, I think we all do that. Mm-hmm. Years ago, when I was young and stupid, I lived with a bunch of musicians in New Orleans. It was great. We had a great time. This was back in the 70s. And I used to sit with my sketchbook and draw the guys. I would draw the street musicians. I would draw the high-dollar guys in clubs. Figures with musical instruments are a wonderful subject, and musicians are always happy to be immortalized, no matter how. So I accumulated a lot of gesture expertise working with musicians and listening to a lot of music. So listening to jazz, live jazz, and then of course recorded material from all the famous people. And in the 80s, I started making paintings based on those drawings. And I found that there was a connection between my approach to making paintings and jazz composition, in that a very structured form can be approached in an improvisational manner to not to change it, but to change it, to give it a different angle, a different emotion, a different feeling even. Nevertheless, it's still the same form. It's still the original form. So I liked that aspect of jazz music, and the range of it, from very mellow to some very wild, cacophonic stuff. And my work is the same way. It can be very subdued, or it can be very shouting with color. So they just seem to go together. So I've been working with those ideas for, 30 years now. Oh yeah. Otherwise nothing gets done. That's why they call it work. Yeah, I have the best light in my painting studio in the afternoon. So I paint in the afternoon, and in the morning I spend at the computer answering emails, taking care of inquiries, and doing research on whatever project I'm working on. Have lunch, and then it's in the studio. So I'm in the studio about 5 hours every day. So when I was younger, it used to be many hours more, but now that I'm properly mature, by 5:30 or so, I'm ready to get off my feet and go sit down. That the people who are participating in it have been doing what they do for many years, for decades in most part, and we've become known as lifers, in that we've been focused on our practice for 30, 40, 50 years. And to go back to your very first question, probably all of us are still excited about the prospect of a new project, a new painting, a new idea. And it doesn't matter that we're all 70 something. We have the energy and the intellect and the experience now to relax into what we do. For instance, I'm at a point where I don't care if somebody doesn't like what I'm painting. It doesn't bother me. And I have a feeling many other people feel the same way about the work that they do.